La 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 L'chaim, everybody. Shkoyach for coming, everyone. Thank you, L'chaim, 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 to L'chaim, to L'chaim. Everyone should be blessed here. Everyone in the whole shul, the whole Efrat should be blessed with safety. Everyone here should be blessed with Yischachus HaKochos, with renewal of strength. Yischachus HaEmunah, renewal of our Emunah. To not be shocked when we discover new reservoirs of depth and of love and of closeness to each other. Be'ezah Hashem, all of our Azarim Bedima should be Berina Yiktzar Be'ezah Hashem. Chaim, 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 Chaim. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol na'am dvarim. You know, I have to tell you something. Sisters are. I've been learning, this week, I'm going to send out a message to the Kehillah later today because I'm going to be with my mother for Shabbos. So I'm going to send this thing about just about my aunt. My aunts, really, because my other aunt should have everything today should be Lehavin Nishmas Chava Yetlabase Yitzchak, and for the refuah shlema of Leah Frado Bas Chai Rochel. My mother is so close to her sisters. I show up here, and there's a napkin. It says "Happy Birthday," right? I couldn't tell what the letter was, but I knew what it was before because only my sister knows that this is one of my favorite Mishigas. Michal. Yeah.
What is that?
Licorice.
It's real licorice.
It's just real liquor.
It's real licorice.
Australian licorice, yeah. Chaim, is Australian, yeah. Okay, so, shukran everybody. Oh, they said the whole thing. Oh, they're amazing. Okay, let's learn for a few minutes, Chavra. I wanted to do something for me today, because every time we learn it's for me, but like something just a bit more, just connected to like, soul nourishment. You know that in the Pirkei Avos, I think it says that there were 10 nisyonos Avraham Avinu had, and 10 nisyonos that Am Yisrael went through in the desert. And we all know the basic counting, the basic accounting of the 10th Nisayon of Avraham Avinu is, of course, Akedas Yitzchak. And the 10th accounting of the Nisyonos of Am Yisrael in the desert, even though it's strange because it seems that it's the beginning of the Tkufa in the desert, but really the Parsha of the Meraglim. It's a big, big test. So that means that there's a lot of correspondence between Akedas Yitzchak and the Shluach HaMeraglim, the whole story. The depth of the Torah is that every single year we read that we know, obviously we all know what happened, v'chulei. But every year when we learn it from another angle, then we understand better how to get through the tests of our lives. This year what a test every single second has been. Every day has been a test, like big nisyonos. And everyone knows also that when you go through a test, you actually configure the letters of the word nisayon to be a nes. Nes can be a miracle, but we have in Parshas Chukas about the Nachash Nachoshes, it says, V'sim loto al nes, the snake of copper, put it on a banner, to lift it up, like lehit nosis, to be up. So nes also means to be lifted up on like a banner, because the story there in Chukas is that when they got bit by the serpent, Moshe Rabbeinu put that snake of copper and says, V'haya kol ha'roso v'nashuch v'ra'oso v'chai. I think that's what the Lashon is. Whoever got bit by the serpent looks up and sees the serpent, and they can become alive. All Mefarshim are wondering, that sounds like a pretty Avodah Zarah type of Indian over there, but basically it was to remember that to look up and see there's something above, right? Huh? Klapei Mala. Meaning so I want us all to take today's learning to be able to look up a little bit higher. Now, it's 2 pages here, very, very short piece from Rav Shlomo on the Parsha, but I don't have it photocopied. I didn't do it backsided, so you gotta make sure each person here takes just 2 pages. And I just want to also mention the names of the month that we're learning in Sivan. Leilui Nishmas Pinchas Menachem ben Avram David, Leilui Nishmas Reb Avram ben Zev Yehuda, Leilui Nishmas Rafael Chana Rivka bas Moshe Nisan, for the refuah shlema of Leah Shoshana bas Malya, and for the refuah shlema of David ben Sarah. And the week was sponsored by Shlomo Weil in memory of Shlomo's Abba Aryeh Leib ben Yecheskel, and by Dvorah and Yeshua Senker in honor of their 16th wedding anniversary and Yeshua's birthday. And shekoyach to everyone that participated today in honor of my birthday. This is very, very special. L'chaim tov melashon. And please, Chaver, just have again, just my aunt. She should have a refuah shlema, not just partial. She have a refuah shlema. Leah Frado bas Chai Rochel. And koyach for my mom. This is one of my favorite teachings. It's a very straightforward teaching from Rav Shlomo Hayakar, the beloved Rav Shlomo. I had to. This week it's considered I had to marry off a couple last night in the Moshav, and it was so healing because the Moshav itself, the Moshav is so, I couldn't even recognize it because of everything that's going on there. but the one area that you could recognize, the shul and where the chuppah was, that more or less is kind of the same. Just felt such a schus to have anything to do with this world called Rav Shlomo Carlebach. So I wanted to learn a piece of his Torah today. Chovid Parashat Shlach, Chovid, everything that's meaningful in this world. So this should give us a lot of strength, Chavra. Imagine I take upon myself to keep Shabbos, and even though I'm working really hard on connecting to it, and it just doesn't go. Forget Shabbos, I mean, it could be anything. Anything we take on. Birthdays is, in Lubavitch, it's Yom HaAchlatas, it's decision day. It's a simcha, but it's a serious thing. It's the day of decisions. Like I have, two types of friends. One's the non-Lubavitchers, happy birthday, and then Lubavitchers like, no, what's your decision day today? So whatever decision I do, okay, whatever decision it is. Imagine I take upon myself to keep whatever, okay? And I'm working really hard on it and it just doesn't go. So what happens to me? So there's two ways before me. I might come to the conclusion that this isn't for me because it's not working. Or maybe I'll make myself stronger and say to myself, I got to try again. And if I try and I end up being disappointed in myself, I'll end up dropping Shabbos altogether since I cannot walk around hating myself. Like the things that we don't end up doing because it's not working for us, we end up resenting, and then we drop the whole thing altogether because we don't want to resent and we don't want to walk around with self-disappointment. So we say, you know what? It's better for me not to even be into this at all. I'll end up dropping Shabbos altogether since I cannot walk around hating myself. Therefore, I have to make an excuse, and I'm saying, it is what it is. I'm just not up to Shabbos. I'm just not up to keeping Shabbos. But if I'm strong enough, I say, okay, take a deep breath. It didn't work for the first few times, but I will try again. So, the Alexanderer Rebbe says, Yismach Yisrael Shlach. Bless you. Yismach Yisrael is a sefer. It used to be one of my top svarim. I want to go back to it this year. Hopefully we'll have time to learn it throughout the year. Eli, you know the Yismach Yisrael, no? Alexander, When I used to hang with the Biala Rebbe, this is what he would, every Shalosh Shuddis, that's when the Rebbes are on, right? So every Shalosh Shuddis that I was with him, you're the one in Givat Shul. The lights go off. He starts quoting from the Yismach Yisrael, from the Alexanderer, and he just takes off. There's very strong Torahs there. So the Alexanderer Rebbe says that this is essentially the difference between Moshe Rabbeinu and the spies. Moshe Rabbeinu's Anava, like everyone always wonders, Smichas Parshias, right? What Rashi, I think there's 8 times in the Torah, right? Noam, you would know this. 8. I think it's 8 times that Rashi says Lama Nismacha. 8. I think it's 8 times. I just saw this yesterday. I don't remember if it was 6 or 8.
This here, Bahar.
You have homework. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. We know how to get him. Okay. So, what's the Smichas Parshias here? Lama Nismacha Parshas Meraglim, to Moshe, to Miriam and Aaron. So one of the answers is obviously, Diva Sa'aretz. But here, the answer to Lama Nismacha is going to be much more about Moshe Rabbeinu's Anava versus the Meraglim's lack of Anava. That's going to be the Smichas Parshias here. Like what? This is an amazing, beautiful thing. Moshe Rabbeinu's Anava was that he realized that he hasn't served God the way he should yet. But he was a savlan about it. He could bear it. The spies were very holy, but they were not on this level. For them, if they felt that they couldn't overcome that which they were working on, they understood it to mean that it's not for them. It's the deepest. This is the deepest. Here they're coming to the Holy Land. They see it's a totally different story from that which they were used to. Mamish, I'm thinking right now about so many chaver that come and make aliyah, like Moshe Rabbeinu versus coming like the Meraglim. Or even staying in Eretz Yisrael, like Moshe Rabbeinu versus staying here like the Meraglim. In the desert, we had no problems. Food was coming down from heaven. We had water from the well of Miriam. A cloud would come down every Friday afternoon, washing you clean. Your garments would grow with you, the Midrash says. Everything was absolutely miraculous. When the spies came to the Holy Land, they realized that it's a different story. In the land of Israel, God wants you to plow your field. Food doesn't fall down from heaven, but you see what it is. To feel high in Eretz Yisrael takes more than whatever you thought. Eretz Yisrael is a different kind of high. Mamish, I know, I have to go back to a conversation I had with someone that came to the office a few months ago, said something that daggered me so deeply. They said, I'm just not excited about, I'm happy my kids are happy, I'm just not excited about my Yiddishkeit here in Eretz Yisrael, the way it is. It was such a dagger, and I had to hold back from saying so much, but I think I know now what Torah to go back to with. You know why? Because honestly, we all know, it's very easy to feel high there. It's actually very, very easy. I remember for me, it was very easy to feel high in Chutz La'aretz about Yiddishkeit. It's very easy because it doesn't take that much to feel high there, because obviously you're surrounded with such schmutz, so even a little bit of light makes you feel like a gewalt, you know.
Here is big enemies with big fruit. Big enemies with big fruit.
Big fruit. Everything is the size, yeah. The size of everything is something completely different. He brings this down even clearer. Imagine a mathematical problem is placed in front of me, and I really don't know anything about mathematics. If I'm a mensch, I admit I don't know, and I ask for help. But if I think I'm the greatest mathematician in the world and I can't solve it, I would say that it's just simply impossible. It just can't be, right? Since the Miraglim thought that they were so great, and they were, they assumed that Israel is a country where you simply can't be high. That's the conclusion they came to. Because if they're not high, how are the simpletons going to be high? They came to Eretz Yisrael and they weren't feeling high. They felt it's a completely different experience of life. And Be'emet, from their love for the Am, they're thinking we can't. The other, if we're the Nasi, we're the Rashi Matot, we're the heads of the tribes, and we're not high here. But if they would have been real students of Moshe Rabbeinu, they would have been tuned into the midah of savlanut, the midah of savlanus. This week I learned a shir from Rav Beryl Wein on the Parsha. I highly recommend it. He has a very important shir on trying to understand how Moshe Rabbeinu came to the conclusion to send who he sent, and where the request to send Miraglim came from, and the contrast between the two. And he's just obviously he's brilliant. He's brilliant. He's a gift to our door. I'm just thinking about this here, but here Rav Shlomo is turning back to the word of the Alexanderer Rebbe, savlan. Savlan doesn't mean I'm patient necessarily. Only mean I'm patient. It means I could tolerate the fact that I haven't gotten as high as I know I need to get to, because I'm going to keep on trying again. That midah of savlanus is a Moshe Rabbeinu. That's Vayish Moshe Anav Me'od Mikol Adama. That's the Smichas Parashios. That's the end of Baal Ascha. So Meraglim, as great as they weren't necessarily Talmidim of Moshe Rabbeinu. They each one, and think about it, each one comes directly from another tribe. Maybe they had a different yichus, different masaret, I don't know.
There were two of them.
Huh?
There were two that...
So he's going to explain in a second how one of them, at least over here, did chapit. So the question is, after you tried once and you couldn't do it, what stops you from trying again? So the Alexanderer Rebbe says this stems from utmost arrogance. When you try something and it doesn't work, and the conclusion you come to is that it's not for me, that may be, this is a very hard thing to sift through, to really know in your heart of hearts, when Hashem says this is not your thing, and when Hashem says you just are not a Talmid of Moshe Rabbeinu. You have to become a Talmid of Moshe Rabbeinu. It's very hard. You need a lot of siyat dishmaya to know the difference between the two.
This is the Torah of Adayim.
What makes you think that if you try and it didn't go, it means you can't do it or that it can't be done? He's focusing here on saying this really is what it means to be anav. We have this concept of anava. How do we usually translate anava? Humility. give a few examples. Like, what's an anav?
Not responding when somebody hurts you.
Bidiyuk. No, someone smashes you, someone like insults you, and you don't respond. What's another amida of anava? That someone praises you also, and you're like, you deflect it, and right? What else is anava? Not taking credit for things that you could take credit for, like all different types of. Here, anava in its core, the Alexanderer Rebbe. Now, just to give you a picture of where this is in the courts of Chassidus. So Reb Simcha Bunim of Pshischa, who was a Talmid he was also by the Chozeh of Lublin. The Chozeh of Lublin, obviously, was a Talmid of the Noam Elimelech, who was a Talmid of the Magid of Mizrich, Talmid Baal Shem Tov. So let's go down again. Baal Shem Tov, Magid, Noam Elimelech, Chozeh of Lublin, Chozeh of Lublin, Yid HaKadosh, the Holy Yid of Pshischa, with Reb Simcha Bunim of Pshischa. And by Reb Simcha Bunim of Pshischa, you had there Kotsk, Ishbitz, Ger, Alexander. So that's where it is. So he's coming from the Beis Medrash of Reb Simcha Bunim of Pshischa. Over there, this was their Torah. They couldn't tolerate someone that would come to the conclusion that if they tried something and it didn't go, that it meant it can't be done. They couldn't stomach it. Like all those teachings from the Beis Medrash of Reb Simcha Bunim of Pshischa, it's like amazing. If you look at all this farm, they all, besides the Ishbitzer, who's just, they're all more or less saying the same thing. Like, at the end of the day, they're all more or less saying the same exact thing. Now here, Chaver, this is where we're at, because we're here in Eretz Yisrael, and we're fighting for our lives here, and they think they can mess with their frat, and they're up for a big, big surprise, these Amalekites here. They don't understand that we're tuned into them. We're Mashats. Parasha Shlach shows us the way of entering Eretz Yisrael. As hard as it is to be a good Yiddilah outside of Israel, in Israel, it's absolute murder. You know what's amazing? You could go, you could go, I had this when I was with my family last summer in Ontario. There's this crazy, right by Niagara Falls, they have a few of these wolf, what's this?
Great Wolf.
Lodge, yeah. We went there for a night. What's it called again?
Great Wolf Lodge.
Great Wolf Lodge. This place is crazy. It's the water park in there and arcades and all these things and Mishigasas. It's a very, very funky place, very cool. I'll just tell you, Niagara Falls was a huge, the falls were gewalt, but everything else is falls. Like literally, I didn't realize how not just no, it's like junky. I didn't understand. Very drecky. I don't know what it's like on the American side and the Canadian side. Very dreck. Even this place, Wolf, it's whatever. Why am I remembering this? Because I was standing on line to get a drink with a few of my kids, and then we hear Hebrew. And I turned to the woman in front of us. She was with a son or something. I said, it's a kif lishma ivrit. And she gets so excited. She turns around and she looks at me and she, so she gets a little startled in the beginning. She's like, I was so excited and then I wasn't. And I was like, I said to her, Achuti, ba'aretz lo haynu medabrim, aval po anachnu achim. Right? You all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You all know what I'm talking about. It's so true. And it's so crazy that it takes that. Because he says here, imagine you walk down the street in Tel Aviv, Ramat Aviv, or in Rishon LeZion, and you hear someone speak Hebrew, and you say, איזה כיף לשמוע עברית.
You get that from people in a frat.
Right. It doesn't work. Here, because here, it's still Tikkun HaMeraglim. We're still in Tikkun HaMeraglim. Obviously, this Tikkun of Tisha B'Av. Tikkun HaRe'iyah. U'r'isa mesa'aretz ma'im. Tikkun Chava. V'teireh ha'isha ki tov ha'etz l'macha. You can keep on going on and on. Here, it's murder. Second line on the bottom paragraph. Why is it so hard to bring Yiddishkeit in Eretz Yisrael? I may be able to turn on all of Brooklyn to Yiddishkeit, but it's very hard to turn on all of Tel Aviv because this is really where it's at. So where it's not really at, it's not so hard to turn it on. When it comes to where it's really at, it's murder. If it's where it's at, the harder it is. Sometimes you go to Eretz Yisrael, you don't feel anything. You come to the holy wall and you're a stone. The wall is not the stone, you are a stone. This simply means that you got to try more. Instead of coming to the conclusion that's saying, we have to wait for Mashiach in order for me to feel Eretz Yisrael. Which I've heard that many, many times. What was the holiness here it come to? What was the holiness of Yeshua? So Yeshua was Moshe Rabbeinu's pupil, and Moshe Rabbeinu's pupil knows that you always have to try again. And this is Sefer Yeshua. This is how Yeshua conquers Eretz Yisrael. He has this. Like what Moshe Rabbeinu did to Yeshua, Kalev's different Indians, Chus Avos, Gavron, something else. Yeshua's, and listen to Rav Beryl Wein's shir on this, because he dissects it really incredibly. That Yeshua had this midah of Anava, of savlanus, which led him not to be there and take insults. That not that type of Anava. How kibush haaretz. And look at us here. You would think that after the Shoah, we come here and we build the land. After a certain amount of years of things not working, you would think we would come to the rational conclusion. This probably isn't it. It's just not working. And that's the last thing that any of us are thinking. And it's an amazing thing. It just means that the midah of Moshe in his Talmud, Yeshua, Bechinas, Chama v'Levana, the sun and the moon, that has seeped into our door more than we realize, more than we understand. The holiness of Eretz Yisrael is that it is the place where we always try again. That's the holiness of Eretz Yisrael. It's not the place where we nail it. It's not the place where we get it right. It's David HaMelech. It's the Torah of mistakes. It's the Shlomo HaMelech. It's the place where we always try again. In all of Yiddishkeit, the holiness of us Yidden, our mission to the world is try again, be humble, and bear it. That's the whole thing. The schus of Parshat Shlach, the midah of Anava should seep into our leaders on all fronts, but really to us itself. And I want to give us all a bracha. Throughout the year, so many of the chevra have talked to me about different things they took on, speaking about how long it lasted versus how long it didn't last. V'chulei. This is a cash Torah. Like you always need a little bit of cash in your pocket for whenever, because you never know when you need. This is the type of Torah you have to keep in your pocket all the time, every day, because here, this is simply how it works here. We see it with our eyes every single day. Now, Lehavin, that if we do this properly, it'll be like equivalent to how we began Shir, the 10th Nisayan, Keneged the 10th Nisayan of Akedas Yitzchak. And then the last thing after Akedas Yitzchak is Kabe Shofar Gadol, is a shofar, is Shofar Shel Mashiach. That Alavai, all of us could have the midah of Anava so deeply inside, and the result of it would be to hear the shofar of Mashiach announcing to us, Higia Zman Geulas Bezrat Hashem. Good Shabbos, everybody.